Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the one-way justice system, particularly where white people, and this is the globalist politicized justice system that they've imposed upon us. How the most terrible vitriolic hatred can be poured on white people, and that's okay. That doesn't really matter. But if the white people clap back and make similar or even much softer and gentler complaints about the brown and black people, then suddenly it's a serious issue. It's equivalent to mass murder and so on and so forth. So there's a recent case in. I won't mention the jurisdiction or the people because, as I understand it, it's subject to appeal now. But a recent legal case now, somebody from one of the poorest third world countries on the planet, and a recent migrant to Australia, recently made public announcements to the effect, and this is words to the effect, that Australia is a racist, genocidal, evil place full of evil, bad, genocidal, racist, Nazi, fascist white people. Now, this is someone who's come to Australia from part of the world where the people, hundreds of millions of people, are gagging to get to Australia or to the rich white West. Now, why would you want to come to a country such full of evil, Nazi, fascist, Hitler, and genocide and so on? Why would you want to come to a place that bad? But anyway, they're gagging to get here. They're falling over themselves to get to Australia. So, and there's no shortage of them here in Australia, by the way. So anyway, they come to Australia. They're gifted a very cosy government job, gifted through affirmative action, a very cosy government job where they're being paid, about 4 times the average wage, and quite a prestigious sort of position. And yet still, they say, right, Australia is an evil, racist, Nazi hellhole, in spite of being brought here by these evil white Nazis, gifted everything by these evil white Nazis, and yet still claiming that it's a genocidal, racist hellhole. I mean, you can't, you couldn't even make this up, for goodness sakes. Anyway, this person makes public announcements. So a prominent white person claps back saying, well, look, if the place is so bad, and I'm paraphrasing, this is not the exact words used, if Australia is so bad, why are you here in the first place? And then if it is so bad, why didn't you go back to the impoverished hellhole that you came from? And so in response to that, the brown person then launches legal proceedings against the white person for a very sort of technical form of defamation that's under sort of racist, anti-racist type hate speech laws, which are written very vaguely, and you could drive a herd of buffaloes through the middle of it, in my view, at least. Now, there have been numerous, it was brought in by a very leftist government, that legislation, and it's been ruthlessly used to go after white people that step out of line, that complain about mass migration and things like that. And no government, as much as they talk about it and talk tough about it, no government has been prepared to take that, either redefine it, reword it, or indeed take that statute off, that law off the books. So it's remained, and again, activists, brown and black activists, absolutely go rock hard over the thought of using this law to go after white people who say things they don't like. Now, of course, it's very one way, because the brown people can again pour the most outrageous hatred on white people. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. But then if the white people clap back, then suddenly it's this huge, oh, that's terrible, we've got to do something about it. Now, why is this a bad thing? Firstly, the brown person, in my opinion, deserved the clap back that they got. If the place is so bad, why are you here? Why did you come here? And if it is so bad, why don't you go back? Why don't you go somewhere else? I think that's an entirely reasonable position to take. or the person say, look, I withdraw that comment. Look, I'm actually really grateful to Australia for taking me in. They didn't have to. I come from an impoverished third world country. I have no skills. I have nothing to offer of value. I'm just going to parasite off the taxpayer. And I really appreciate that Australia took me in as a migrant, and I further appreciate all the affirmative action jobs, gigs, and handouts and freebies that have, this is a great place, and I've been treated very well, and I've been given everything. So I withdraw. No. In fact, as I understand it, the brown person doubles down. Did I say Australia was Nazi? Well, it's double Nazi, triple Nazi. So anyway, the white person claps back, and then activist groups, NGOs, and everyone comes out of the woodwork, taxpayer-funded groups, everything, to say, hey, here's an opportunity. This white person's clapped back. Let's get him. Let's stick it up the Nazi motherfuckers. And all for saying, if you don't like it, why are you here and why don't you go? That's it. I mean, you'd hardly call that sort of vicious racism. But anyway, under this law, given its vagueness, you can interpret, because you can ascribe, which is very much the ideological nature of globalist law, you can ascribe intent. And this is something you don't have to prove. You can simply assert it. So you intended to be evil. You intended to be racist. You intended to be a Nazi. And you don't have to prove that. You need to infer it. And effectively, the burden of proof is reversed. So once it's asserted that you intended to do something, bad, evil, racist, Nazi, whatever, once it's asserted, then you have to prove you didn't. Well, no, I'm not a Nazi. Oh, you prove it. Yeah. Can you say? Have you ever heard the word Hitler? Guilty, motherfucker. So it's a very, that they give themselves a very, very low bar that they can make these assertions, and then they say it's the way it's structured is you have a very high bar to disprove it. So really, once you get these assertions in, particularly using this law, you're screwed, you're done, you're finished. But where did the money come from? Now, as I understand it, and I haven't got exact numbers here, but as I understand it, it's somewhere around $300,000 in legal fees to mount this, it's effectively a defamation action using this very vaguely worded, racist, anti-racist type law. So they were able to get the money to do this. Now, this person would never have done it if they weren't ginned up. And if activist groups hadn't come to them and said, look, you ought to do this and we'll pay for everything. It won't cost you a penny. We'll pay it. We'll do all the paperwork. We will do everything for you. You just need to front it and make a little speech on the court steps, that sort of stuff. We'll do everything else for you. All the lawyer, all the hard work, all the heavy lifting, all the filing of documents, we'll take care of everything. So, okay, well, what's it going to cost me? Nothing. It won't cost you anything. What if we lose? We'll cover the costs of that too. It will cost you nothing, win or lose or draw. Oh, okay. So what do I have to do there? All you have to do is just sign these papers. Oh, okay. Then, yeah, all right. Then. Now, this is not a legal case. Let's be clear about this. This is not some genuinely aggrieved party who's wanting to seek redress for being unfairly or unreasonably defamed. That's not what this is. And let's be absolutely clear about it. This is a vehicle being used by radical activists to go after and slap around white people. That's all it is. There's nothing. They can say whatever horrible things they want to say and pour whatever hatred they want on white people. It's only when white people clap back, let's crush those motherfuckers. And that's what's going on here. And activists, including taxpayer money, by the way, and free lawyers and free everything. Now, if I was a judge in a case, I'd want to know, well, you don't appear to be an aggrieved party. And by the way, the inflammatory language you used, you're going to expect to get responses like this in return. So this is hardly a clear case of defamation. You've defamed and you were defamed. So let's, and your defamation was far more vicious than the defamation you got back in return. So let's be clear about that. But who's paying for everything? What have you had to do here? Were you an aggrieved party? Which parties approached you and encouraged you to take this legal action? Did they offer to pay for everything? Why is it you've gone along with it? Is it because there's no risk to you personally? And I'd go through that, and I thought, I would conclude, look, this is not a genuine case of an aggrieved party seeking redress. I'm throwing this out. You're just a tool or pawn for a bunch of shithead arsehole activists that are globalist activists who are using this as a device to just go after a white person they don't like. That's all it is. And it's nothing more than that. So I would throw it out on that base. Anyway, they're not throwing it out. In fact, the legal administration, which is shot through with activists, by the way, the legal administration is, I would argue, in my view, touting for business. They're effectively exhorting people to come along. Can you find someone who's a racist, who's said anything racist? Maybe they meant to be racist. Maybe let's go get them. Let's use the full force of the state and the law, and let's go after them and get. And this is the nature of the prosecutions and the activists. I would argue the activists in the prosecution departments. They're not interested in the merits of the case. They're interested in the social justice globalist politics of it all, and that mandates, it requires them slap white people down that complain about the globalist project, mass migration or whatever. So that's what's going on now. On top of that, they were able to get a migrant judge to hear the case who has, I would argue, in my view, has very pronounced sympathies towards the brown person. Now, in the judge's judgment, which was read out with huge celebration, by the way, on the globalist activist NGO circuit, the judge read out, it's like the judgment was written for them by some social justice, gender studies activist. You intended to be racist. You were using the language of racism. And what? I mean, that's not how a judge talks. A judge should have a sober and absolute. So instead, they were ascribing intent. You intended to be an evil white person. I mean, what the fuck was going on there? So, in my view, at least, this was a top to bottom outrage. They were able to bring a case without merit, were able to gin it up and turn it into an exercise in political assassination of a white person they didn't like, and then were able to get it into a court. I mean, a case that in my view had no merit, all fees and costs and everything paid for by activist groups. And then they were able to get an activist judge to fucking hear the case. I mean, for goodness sakes. So if that's not a usurpation, and in my view, a complete and comprehensive subversion of justice, I don't know what is. And yet it's celebrated loudly across and the brown person, gets up on the steps of the court in a photo op opportunity. Justice has been done. Those evil fucking Nazi whiteys really got it stuck up on. Look at this great victory. Just goes to show we, the brown people, are the morally superior ones. Give me a fucking break. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.